Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Yesterday, there's a debate in this year. Who is it? We have email here. If standing very straight and wearing shoes, you could say I'm 5'3". Rabbi Schuster, I knew well, and he was over 6 feet tall. But it's about the 80th time I've been asked if that's me. The early 90s in the old city were geschmack. Yehuda Greenman. This is, in fact, Yehuda Greenman. Somebody sits 5 feet away from me every day. It was a crazy coincidence. I had no idea, but he's not even here.
It's not him.
It is.
He just wrote he's 5'3". He says it's not him.
But
It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
It's the old city. It's the old city. It goes like this. What did you say? It's not him? Somebody sent me a picture of him and his brother. It's not him. Boys, it's not him. Here he is in Texas, watching this year. It's not him. This is how confusion is. It's him. It's him. Just keep on thinking. No, that's what he meant in the email. Okay. Tomer also told me he meant it's him. Rabbi Isai, save the date. What is that? What's going on here? We have a gift here. Save the date. Yisrael Adler. Rabbi Yisrael Adler. Maze? Shachmanes. The COVID? Maze? Shkoyach. Okay, real quickly, I want to address this. Somebody wrote online, I forgot the lashon exactly. Shkoyach, Rabbi. Anybody know who the other side is?
This is a proof. That's him.
I know. That's him. This is the picture somebody sent me.
That's it. Finish.
And
that's it.
That's him. It's the same guy with the ponytail. But okay, you guys want to argue?
Jeff Greenman.
Okay. And the debate continues. Yishkoyach.
Same guy.
Rabbi Isai, somebody wrote online, he says, it's very nice that Eli, obviously he's a Talmud Muvak, he called me Eli. Eli donated $100,000, but why does he have to announce it to the world? Doesn't he understand Hachavetz B'ilum Shmai? I guess it's a pasuk somewhere I'm not familiar. Hachavetz B'ilum Shmai. So the answer is, I'm of the opinion that if it's, he's making a wedding right now. Okay, Gishmak. So you have to make a l'chaim. I don't drink before Shachris. I have a problem. I can't. You guys do. So Nachamol, Rabbi Isai, the reason why it's Lebedik here today, I believe it's nothing to do with how much it is. I believe that if I could get 1 or 2 people, 5 people, I'm a chazik, I give a lot. This is that debate. You go anonymous. Anonymous doesn't inspire anybody. Anonymous. I'm telling you, I'm giving X. And in fact, somebody called me up yesterday and said, I'm giving $18,000 because of what you said. So just for that, it was worth it. I anticipate that many more are going to jump in on this. Yuvamis is going to cost us probably $200,000 when it comes to all the art and everything. So we need to drum it up a little bit. And let me show you something. I made this beautiful chart. Benefit of donating 1 Gemara for $35. You give somebody the gift of Torah. You change his life. There's many, many more things. I just threw it together at 5 to 7. You change the person's family. We see it all the time. And don't forget, in my opinion, and nobody's ever shown otherwise. Adarabah, right in. What other tzedakah could you give $35 and you have this kind of return on investment? $35, you give somebody Torah and it changes his life. Time after time after time. Avi, you're in the... So, yes, Hachlasas Kala, you give $35, you probably buy a half a meal in a hall. What are you going to get for $35? You change a person's life. I'm not going to compare this tzedakah to this tzedakah. I don't know of a better tzedakah for me, and that's why I invested my money there. I want other people to be inspired. If you have Lamashal, somebody got a Yerusha. If somebody donates now $2 million to MDY, I will put every single dollar to use to bring Torah to the world. Every single dollar. I will not match it. And if I do, then I won't say, there's a pasuk, a chafetz be'ilum shmoi. Rabbi said, I'm not telling you Lemaisa how much I'm donating a lot more than 100,000. I'm just the anava, the 100,000. It was an amazing experience to visit the shir, says Mordines. I forgot to mention that my wife's cousin is Pinchas London. We love the Londons. Shout out to his brother, my neighbor Yitzchak. You also love the Londons. Yitzchak London, who learns the daf with MDY together with his son Yechiel every night. I can tell you firsthand that there's a newfound excitement of learning Torah amongst the London family. Inside, when I visited with my cousin, I read, Rabbi said, you're going to see a picture of me that you've never saw before. Unbelievable, flattering picture. I'm going to show it. The next day, received, me and Morty Ness. The next day, received at least 3 messages from around the globe from people who saw him during the shir. One was from his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. Another from Josh Hyman from Charleston, South Carolina. Just to give you the strength to continue to spread Torah. Morty Ness. Here's the picture. Love it. Mamish, love the picture. Unreal. Shkoyach for the picture. Well, we don't have to go through all of these, but real quick, last one. Rough day. Nothing like spending time with kids, having a l'chaim, and getting in the daf. All in one solution to a long day out of the office. Thank you for your efforts. May Hashem continue to give you the energy. Keep going. Your Talmud, Max Akina. Here he goes with his daughter. It looks like she really wants to get off his lap. I'm not sure. She's in that position. Like, could you stop posing here for the picture? But no, it's good stuff. Perfect timing. Today's shir. Where's Zevi? Zevi here today? Zevi's not here. We'll talk about, not your Zevi, the other, your friend. Not here today. Great story you told me yesterday. This month's call sponsor, Mr. Anonymous, Lili Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef. I have a debate with this Mr. Anonymous all the time. He's real anonymous, but I really believe that telling people who it is behind that donation, especially we're not talking about aniyim here. The people getting the Gemaras don't know who it came from, and I don't know who I'm giving to. So it could be I'm Yaitza, they're not knowing. Here I'm trying to inspire other people to give. Maseches Moed Katan is dedicated by the Kessler and Davis families. Refuah shleima from Miriam Esther, Devora, bekorov. Michael and Jayme Benmeleh, in memory of Devora, Faige about Shmuel, and Menachem Mendel, Elchanan A. May the neshamas have an Aliyah. May Hashem bring Moshiach bekorov. The MDY Family sponsoring neshamas, Yidi Leibowitz Z, Reb Shalom Baruch יודא Z, and Rav Yosef Yechiel Michal Shlita by Elchanan PRESSman in honor of our mother Yocheved Bas Elchanan A, Shalom 21st yard side. I'm certain she is thrilled I found you. A special thank you again to Jay Spector for the intro to Reb Eli at the beginning of Brachos. ELCHANAN PRESSman is with us from Brachos. Mordechai, Chaim, Karen, yard side of my parents, Sarah Eta Bat Shmuel, and Pesach Aaron ben Simcha Yehuda Le. Shalom should have an Aliyah. Rabbi Sai, we're a little bit behind, not too bad. We are on Daf Aleph Amud Beis. Daf Aleph Amud Beis. You know what? Let's just take it from the middle of the daf. We'll go back a little bit because we have to catch up a little bit. Okay, so it goes like this. Mishloisha v'ad shiva. You have it? We'll go quickly because we did a lot of it. We're learning the halachas of what you could say and what you could ask. Can you say hello to somebody that's ba'avelos? Could he answer back? So we said there's enough community in the first 3 days and afterwards, the first 3 days, he doesn't even answer. Somebody says, how are you doing? You don't answer. You say, unfortunately, I had a loss, etc. From 3 days to 7 days, he could answer. After 7 days, he could even ask somebody how he's doing, but other people don't ask him, the Menachem, until 30 days. And then, what's that on the screen? Yeah. I'll wait, it's fine. Is it possible to remove that? Yeah, yishkayach. Thanks. So, other people don't ask. They just menachem till 30 days. But there's a difference between other people and for parents, it's till 12 months, not 30 days. After 30 days or 12 months, for parents or other kroivim, then you're not menachem. Why you're not menachem? Because you don't want to bring up bad memories. So you do it minat tzad. You do it indirectly. You say, Hamaki menachem eschem. You don't say, Oh, I love the mother, etc. Okay, so now let's see inside Mishloy Shavat Shiva. We're holding this halacha, the yellow halacha, Mishloy Shavat Shiva. Meishiv ve'enoi shoyel. The Avel could answer, I'm doing fine, but he doesn't ask, and how are you doing? After the Shiva, what does it say? Let's remember this. He's permitted to ask, how are you doing after Shiva? But there's a contradiction. If somebody finds a Avel, you don't ask how he's doing. And after 7, we said you could ask and answer. In other words, somebody could ask you, after 30, you ask how he's doing, but you don't say Menachem. You don't talk Tanchum, you don't talk about the parent or whatever it is. So that's the question. The question is, there's a contradiction. Could he ask after Shiva? Could he not ask after Shiva? That's when I said my little pshat in marriage, 80%, 20%. Nobody cared about it. Nobody even wrote to me if it was good, not good. Great. At least I didn't insult anybody there. There's an 80-20. Don't focus on the 20. That's not so good. Person's wife dies and he immediately marries somebody else. It's a little suspicious how she died. Insurance, she had another woman right there waiting to get married within the shloishim. How does it happen? So he says he has young kids. He has to get married quickly. He doesn't go in there and start praising his previous wife. That's not nice in front of his new wife. But if he finds him in the marketplace, this is where we got to. So we have a contradiction. Yes. Interesting. He could ask somebody, how are you doing? Because that person is doing fine. So you could ask him. But they cannot return the favor. They can't ask him how he's doing. He's in a bad mood. He just had a terrible loss. What are you asking him how he's doing? So yes, the Avel could ask you, but you can ask him. But it says he can answer, meaning somebody asked him a question. Somebody did ask him how he's doing. That's why he can answer. So we have a it's a big chiddush. If somebody has no clue, and it happens all the time, guy gets up from Shiva, not everybody in the world knows what happened, then he goes to work and somebody says, how you doing? So he's permitted to answer. The other way to do it is he could tell him about his loss, but the chiddush is he doesn't have to say about his loss, he can just say, I'm doing great. As the Gemara, by the 3 first days, why doesn't he answer? If somebody didn't know. So answer nicely. What happened? Just say, I'm doing great. What do you have to go into a whole Torah? What happened by the Levaya? Says Gemara, the first 3 days in such terrible avelos, no, he shouldn't answer. He should just explain. Over here, he doesn't need to explain. He just could answer like a normal human being. Shalom Yisrael. But if you do know about his avelos, don't go over to somebody that has an avelos and say, how are you doing, even after Shiva? If you found somebody that's a Avel within 12 months, what do we learn? We learned that after 30 days, you're good to go. There's nothing going on. After 30 days, you can ask him, no problem. Over here it says, you don't ask him how he's doing. And after 12 months, you got to be careful. Don't bring it up. You can do it indirectly. If a guy finds a friend and he had a loss 12 months earlier, so he says a terrible mashal. And this gives us understanding what's going on here. A person broke his leg and it healed. I'm going to break it so I can show you my nice new device I have. I know you don't need cast anymore with the... I'm not going to put cement. I have this plastic thing. Let me show you. Breaks his bone and puts it back. Shalom Aleichem. Shkoyach. The person finally heals after 12 months of a loss, and you're going to say, oh, what a wonderful father, unbelievable, and then he's going to start crying again. Not good. By the way, I don't know if you were Zeicha, but I was Zeicha to be in many surgeries, to watch surgeries, And they actually do that. If somebody gets a nose job, my shver was big into that, still is. So they take a hammer, literally a hammer, and just letting you know this is how it goes. Take a hammer and like a chisel, and boom, the sound is unbelievable. Just goes at it, bang, bang. The guy's unconscious. He has no idea. His head is going. You can hear the sound all the way down the hall. Break the bone physically with a hammer and a chisel. That's what if somebody wants to get a nose job. That's what it's like. I'm going to break it, says the doctor. And I'll heal. I'll make a nice nose. And you should just know that I have a great device of healing. Like Hashem. So what is it? Could I say hello to the guy after 30 days? Is it 12 months? What's going on here? Says the Gemara, okay, the obvious answer. There's a difference between a father and a mother. Father and mother lasts 12 months. Other kroivim lasts 30 days. Says the Gemara, Hasam Nami, why does it say by the kroivim? He can't talk to him at all after 30 days. Why not? Let him be polite. Let him say, Menachem Mendel. You bump into somebody that lost a child, or something, whatever. A sister, I don't know what. So why does the Gemara say you don't mention it? After 30 days, don't mention. To a parent that's 12 months, to somebody at 30 days. Why don't mention it? Say it in a nice, indirect way. Say, you don't have to bring up the child that was killed in an accident. But say it be polite. Says the Gemara, you're right, you should. It just means don't bring up the whole thing all over again. Don't rehash it. You could bring it up indirectly. Zev, you want to come here for a second? Yeah. I want you to tell me the story that you told me yesterday. Different time? Tomorrow. Get ready. Okay, new sugya. Perfect timing. This happens all the time. Especially people that are nifter and chutz la'aretz, and they want to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. So part of the family goes with the Aron to Eretz Yisrael, Zekfura, and many times they come back. What happens to Shiva? When do they start? When do the people in America start sitting Shiva? Do they wait until the Kfura? And the person going with the nifter, when he comes back to America, how many days does he have to sit? All these halachas right here. If he just shows up, now this is not that he went and he was dealing with the mace at all. He lives Makim Karev, 1 day worth away, 40 mil, approximately 40 miles. Let's call it 40 miles just for argument's sake. 40 miles away. If he comes, so two conditions. If he comes from a close place and it's within the 3 first days, my name on. So he saves like 2.5, 3 days of Shiva. Guy doesn't want to sit 7 days on the floor and see all these people. He takes it easy. He doesn't show up to where they're sitting Shiva for the first 3 days. He's good. All he has to do is sit Shiva for 4 days. Yaitza. And if he lives 3 blocks away and he shows up on day 4, now he has to count. Now he has to sit 7 full days. Reb Shimon is Mekel, and he says, "Afilu ba b'yom hashvi memakim karev ma'nei imayim." It doesn't matter if he sits down with his family, even for 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of Shiva, he's yaitza. Who do we paskin like Reb Eli? Why Reb Shimon? Because in Avelis we go likula, so we always paskin like the Mekel. And the Gemara is going to say that straight out on Amud Aleph. The first 3 days you come from a close place. You sit down with the rest of the family. When the bechar is there. Now what they're trying to point out, every family has their bechar. Sometimes the bechar is not a true bechar. It doesn't act like a bechar. It could be a woman. There's always that one person that controls the family, so to speak. Whatever she decides, he decides, it goes. That's the Gadol HaBayis. The one that makes decisions, let's do it like this. So if that person is in the Avelos house, then the Avelos goes by that person. If the younger kids are in the house, it doesn't go by them at all. It doesn't count where they sit. To a point. And now we'll see that it might change a little bit. Ibaylu. Daf Yomi Amud Aleph. So there's a big halacha as we're going to see that in America, in Chutz La'aretz, unfortunately, I've been to these many times. You go to Kennedy Airport. I just know America. I don't know about London and all these other. You go to Kennedy Airport to the cargo, and you see the Aron off. That is when Avelu starts for everybody that stays in America. It's the point that you say goodbye to the Aron. The Kvura is not going to happen for 2 days. A day, whatever it is. That's typically Avelu starts B'stimus HaGoylel when you close the grave. You put the dirt on the Aron, that's it. That's when the Avelu starts. But since there's 2 parts here, a lot of people are staying behind. For them, this is B'stimus HaGoylel. If you look in Rashi, Rashi says, it's a little later down, like 1/3 from the bottom, it says, Chazaraschem kinistam HaGoylel. It says a big chiddush here, like by them turning away from the Aron, that's like closing up the grave for these people. Avelu starts there. But now, and this, many times this happens, right? It's usually the older sons, they leave behind the mother, elderly people don't go. Not everybody goes to the Levaya in Eretz Yisrael. They pick a few people, they go with the Aron. So, halach gadol habayis lebeis hakvara is mamish negel lizmanenu. The older one goes to the Beis HaKfaros. What's the question? The younger ones are in America sitting Shiva, and they started Shiva when they left Kennedy Airport. So that Shiva starts with them. Could he be mitzaref with them? But a second ago we said that the Gadol, it goes by where the Gadol is. It doesn't go by the Ktana. No. Over here it's different. Why? Because over here, before the Gadol was just doing his own thing, he didn't feel like coming to the Ktana. He was in his house in Muncie. He didn't feel like going to Brooklyn. So it doesn't go by the Ktana, it goes by the Gadol. But over here, the Gadol is misasik with the mace. He's like a shliach. I don't know, I'm throwing that word in. That's how I felt, but it's probably not the right shot. He is representing the Ktanim. He's being isik b'mace. So he is perhaps mitzdaref with the younger ones. And he could join the younger guy's shiva when he gets back. Mao. Tashma, don't Reb Eli, Reb Yochanan, afilu halach Gadol habayis to Beis HaKfaros. Reb Yochanan says mefurish. If the older one or the one in charge goes to Beis HaKfaros, Moine imahem. Moine imahem asks the Gemara, why should he count with them? Why should it go? Vatanya, moine la'atzmoi. We have a different price. Gadol goes by himself. Whenever he returns, whenever he sits down Shiva, that's when it starts. Not when the younger brothers do Shiva, the younger family. Like Hashem. If he can return quick enough to be within the first 3 days of the Shiva, then he's mitzdaref with them. Again, he was representing them, he was Isaac with the mace. Yes, their Shiva starts when they turn around from the airport. I say airport, I don't know, I didn't like looking at halacha, but we're going to see in a second, it goes by the entrance to the city. To me, Kennedy's the end of the city over there. I don't know. Fine. If he returns, day 7, day 5, whatever it is, then he cannot be mitzdaref with them. Rav told the people of Tzalpaini, another interesting name. It doesn't matter over here. It doesn't say who. It doesn't say it's the Gadol, the Katan. Anybody that could get back to Shiva within 3 days, he's good to go with you. If he doesn't get back within 3 days, he has to do his own Shiva. So this is interesting. It's mamish like we have today. It was a minhag in Bavel to send the body to Eretz Yisrael. Everybody wants to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. Moshiach comes, the body jumps up, doesn't have to go through the ground. It's a big schos. Atun, the lawyers litu basar arsa. You guys are waiting over here by the airport in Bavel. You're not going to go all the way to Eretz Yisrael. I don't even understand how they did it. It's they didn't have refrigeration then. It's like days upon days carrying a body through the desert. Okay, they did it. So, so again, that's the Rashi. That's where Rashi says it, where I brought up before. Chazaraschem kinistam agoyel. Sorry. Chazaraschem kinistam agoyel, says Rashi. When you turn around and you walk away, that's like you covered over the grave. And Menachem, that's where It starts in Bavel from when they take the body and they start going to the desert. Shalom Yisrael. Reb Shimon is the makel, and he says, even if he comes from a very close place, but on the 7th day, so not even. Close is a hechrach. It has to be close. He can't come from far. Close. But even on the 7th day, he doesn't have to do the whole shiva. In the name of Rebbe, Reb Eli. If you come, a lot of times you come on the 7th day, shiva, it's already over. Finished. Done. They're gone. You have to catch them like read by Shachris, right? So you have to make sure there's people there comforting them, being Menachem. If you see that they're like moving around, they're ready to get up and run, which you'll have a live demonstration here at 8 o'clock, 8:01, they start moving. That's Ninaru. Ninaru la'amoid. They want to get up and run. We had the same exact question, by the way. Where? Leiby knows. In Rosh Hashanah. Teiku. Fine. Teiku. There's a guy that came to Rav Steinman every time. I don't know. I probably said the story 25 times, but nobody here remembers it, so it's great. A guy came to Rav Steinman and said, "I'm Aliyah Navi." So he says, "Wow, I was waiting for you so long. Nu, what's the pshat in Moed Katan Daf Yomi Amud Aleph? What? How do you explain it? Huh? Okay. Gemir chavrei de Reb Abba Barchia mi Reb Abba Oman Reb Zera. Varlo chavrei de Reb Zera mi Reb Zera. The friend of Reb Abba heard from him halacha. Who's Reb Abba's friend? Reb Zera. Or it's the reverse. Reb Zera's friend, who's Reb Abba, heard from him. Now what? Halacha Reb Shimon ben Gamliel betrefos. The halacha is like Reb Shimon ben Gamliel when it comes to certain halacha that we're going to say in a second. Halacha Reb Shimon, not Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. There's Reb Shimon ben Gamliel and Reb Shimon. Halacha is like Reb Shimon in Avelos. Ki Reb Shimon be'evel hoda amaran. That's no chiddush, right? We said everybody knew. The halacha is going to be like Reb Shimon. That if a aval comes even 7 days into Shiva and he's able to catch them before they get up and they're still menachem them, he's yoytze Avelos. Here I have a picture. This is a bicycle tire, and there's a nail in there. And if you put a certain sealer in there, you put, what is it called? Sealant. He knows what it is. So it'll go right through the hole and seal the hole. The same exact thing happens by an animal. If an animal has a hole in its intestines, it's treif. But as Reb Avram Weisfish sent me, I asked him like 12 o'clock in the morning if he has pictures because I couldn't find my own. And he immediately sent me, this is a chicken's intestine. And you can see how there's a big hole over here and it sealed itself with gook, natural gook from within the body, sealed the hole. If you want to see another one of, this is from a lung. This lung has gook coming, dripping right out of it, causing the hole to self-seal. Says the Gemara. Reb Shimon Gamliel says it's kosher. What does it mean? It's a sticky substance, the ma'aya, from the intestines. The nafek agav duchka, from the pressure, the hole, and this pressure in there. Whatever, why is the animal treif if it has a hole? Because it's going to leak. Well, that pressure of the leak seals it off, and it's kosher. And the halach is like Reb Shimon Gamliel. Omar Mandu. This to me is a sad story. There was a guy there, and he says, I love this halacha. I want to hear it from Reb Abba himself or Reb Zera himself. I want to hear it with my own ears. He got to he found him. Is it true that you said that Allah is like Reb Shimon Gamliel? It was mixed up. So I don't know what to make of the story. It's like he was dying to hear the halacha from him, and instead of hearing the halacha from him, he hears that everything was messed up. What you heard in Bavel is not correct. Okay, fine. 1 out of 2, terrible. What about the other one? The halacha is like Reb Shimon ba'avelos that after 7 days you don't sit shiva. A person doesn't sit shiva at all. He's there for 5 minutes. He's yaitza. Omalei, that also. I didn't say that halacha is like him. Pluktaninu. It's a machlokes. Didmar. Rav Chizda Amar halacha. Rav Chizda says that halacha is like Reb Shimon. V'chein Omer Reb Yochanan halacha. We have two great ones that say that halacha is like that. Reb Nachman Omer ein halacha. Says the Gemara. Ve'ein halacha Reb Shimon Gamliel. But treifa is we don't paskin that there's a hole and it naturally seals. It's kosher. It's treif. Ve'halacha Reb Shimon be'evel. But the halacha is like Reb Shimon be'evel. Why? You go lekula ba'avelos. Remember this. We go lekula. So if a person, if there's a shita that says that 1 minute of avelos is enough, we go like that shita. If a person makes a very, very quick funeral, the person is nifter. It happens in Eretz Yisrael. It's a little scary for me. Person's nifter 12 o'clock, 12:30 is already in the ground. Boom. So if a person does that for regular karov, it's a good thing. They're not making a spadim anyway. Just to have the body lay around is not covered amaze. Very quickly. I love alanimoy when there's a chiyuv to be maspid intensely. Then harizim magun is a terrible thing to bury them quickly. However, Erev Shabbos or Erev Yontif, harizim meshubach. Of course, if it's Erev Shabbos, you hurry it up. That is the covet of the father and mother that you should do a quick levaya. Akol hamesim kulon. There was a quick mice, I'll tell you. There was Rav David Padro. By the way, the Bach over here says on the side that if it rains during a levaya, it's also covered for the nifter just to hurry up the levaya and bury quickly. Side note, show him talking about it. Rav David Padro was in Bnei Brak. He was the founder of Or Chaim Seminary in Bnei Brak. And as it happens, and I'll tell you it happened to me, I saw this with my own eyes, a car pulls into Bnei Brak and they start stoning the car. So he, on Shabbos, obviously on Shabbos. So he runs over to the car and he says, what's going on? He says, I'm here to pick up my sister. Father's nifter on Shabbos. We got to do a funeral, quick funeral. So he told him, he said, listen, it's much more bakavadik if we get a whole bus and your sister and all her friends will come to Levaya. We'll make a whole matzah. We'll get speakers, this, that. Let's just push it off to once Shabbos. So the guy said, fine. And he got out of the car and he came with them. And that's how he's able to diffuse the situation. Think about what would you do? The guy's gung-ho. He has to make a Levaya right now. Mamash, cover that mace. Right now on Shabbos, you got to bury it. So he explained to him that there's a bet I could do even more cover like that. I was once in Maseches Shahaya, but nothing to do with the sugya. But I was in the street, and a car in Bnei Brak, right in front of Ramat Elchanan, where Coca-Cola is today, a car comes in, and they start pounding this car with stones and then dancing in front of it, the whole thing. And I was one of the kids. I don't know if I was throwing stones. I was just looking, watching. And my father walked by, and my father walks over to the car, and the guy rolls down the window, and he starts talking to me. He says, I don't know what's going on. They want to kill me. What did I do? So my father says, just park your car. And my father told everybody, So he parks his car, and he says, I came to visit my son. He lives here in Bnei Brak. He's in Kolel. So he's like, okay, come to my house and let's shmooze. So he came. It turns out this guy was literally a rocket scientist from NASA. And he came to visit his son. A Maseches Shahaya, and he came and we had Shal Shudas. I remember Adam Azeh, he sat by Shal Shudas. We had the whole Suda, everything. And from that day on, we used to get a box, like every month, a box of NASA books. Books and like different what do they call it, like models of rockets and also a box every month. Okay, we bumped into a rocket scientist. Anyway, Alkol amazing kulon rotzim imayit biskoy. On other kroivim, if a person wants to, he doesn't have to. He could do a little bit of business. Now there's a shayla Rishonim what it means. You're not allowed to work. Some Rishonim say it's talking about Devora of it. Some Rishonim say it's business. Like, in the stock market. You go, you do a couple clicks on the phone. That's not the end of the world. A little Bitcoin. Rotza, if he doesn't feel like it, he can do it. No, when it comes to a parent, one should, even that stuff, even just if you want to call it business and even Devora of it, whatever it is, he should really take it easy when it comes to that stuff. Daf Yomi sponsored by Moshe Horn and Woody Wyman as a schus for Morty Moskowitz. What?
Switch the wording.
Ah.
First one.
Moshe Horn, in honor of Chewy, Woody, and Kaylee twins. I don't know how to read it. You read it. You tell me what it says. That's how you say it? Okay. And sponsored in honor of myself, wishing myself hatzlacha in all myself's endeavors, both in Gashmias and Ruchnias. I'll call out Mason Kulon, Rotza, Choyletz, Rotza, Eina Choyletz. You know, we're heading to Yavamas, and there's a lot of chalitza there. This is not chalitza. Chalitza typically means to uncover or take off a shoe. Over here, chalitza means to reveal one shoulder. We don't have the minhag today. But in those days, they would reveal a shoulder if wanted. And we see it wasn't Meikar Hadin, it wasn't a chiyuv, and that's why it doesn't apply today for whatever reason. Again, a lot of the things don't apply today because the goyim make fun and whatever. I love Aliyah, but on a father and mother, one is obligated to reveal his shoulder. The Galadar was, his father was a nifter, and he wanted to reveal his shoulder. And there's another Galadar that came to the funeral. And he also wanted to reveal his shoulder. It's amazing that we can look into this and think about it. This Gadol, who had the obligation to reveal his shoulder for his own father, was concerned about the covet of his friend. He didn't want this other Gadol to have to reveal his shoulder. It's not a coveting for a Gadol Adar. So he refused to reveal his own, thinking about the Zulas. Omar Abaya, to be considerate. Omar Abaya, Gadol Adar Rebbe. Says Abaya, I want to tell you the story. It's the famous Rebbe Yehuda Hanasi. Gadol Adar Sheimoy, and you know who was with him? Rabbi Yaakov Baracha. Again, you see, if you're not anonymous story? No, it's a great story. But now that you know names, you see people, it's a whole different story. Rabbi Yaakov Baracha, Vikid Amri Golador, Rabbi Yaakov Baracha. Some say it's the reverse. Rabbi Yaakov Baracha had a loss. Gadol Adar Sheimoy, Rebbe. Ask the Gemara. If the guest was Rebbe, I can understand why Rabbi Yaakov Baracha didn't do it. Look at this chart. You're probably familiar with it if you're with the shir. But if you look over here, you see Ben Achar Ben Achar Ben. You have Hillel Hazakin, the famous Hillel. Reb Shimon, Gamliel. Don't confuse. One is Reb Shimon, one is Gamliel. Then you have Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Then you have Rabbi Gamliel. Then you have Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Rashbag, the famous Rashbag. And then you finally have Reb Yehuda Hanasi all the way down here. Who was Rebbe? Rebbe's father, who was nifter, if it was his father's nifter, the Nasi. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. There's a lot of people that know this about Balpeh, like it just comes natural. Rebbe's father was the Nasi. So if a Nasi's nifter, everybody has to reveal the shoulder. So you couldn't be nice to him anyway. What does it mean? I'm not going to reveal my shoulder, so you don't have to reveal. You have to reveal the shoulder because the Nasi was just nifter. The Nasi is nifter, you have to reveal. Right? It makes sense. He was the Nasi at the time. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel was the Nasi. And as soon as he was nifter, the Nasius went to his son, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, the author of the Mishnah. Kasha. You're right, that's a good kasha. It doesn't make sense that it was Rebbe's father that was nifter. It makes more sense it was Rabbi Yaakov Baracha's father. Halachas that we're very familiar. After a person sits Shiva and then he has shloishim, he could take a haircut. It's interesting, a lot of things that I took for granted, somebody asked me in Koil yesterday, Koil Yungaman. He said, what do you mean by this that you walk around the block? What's this walking around the block? I said, what? No. Some people are not familiar. Baruch Hashem, they're not familiar. When people get up from Avelus in the morning, the seventh day, they get up and they walk outside. People walk them down the street and back, whatever. There's a thing. So, if somebody is after shloishim for a father and mother, and he looks nasty, so you walk over and says, your beard looks terrible. What do the Chachmi Chelim do? Oh, I love you in a beard. Love it. It looks great. So the guy goes for 3 years. You'll see people like this. Why? Because the Chevra don't have. He's supposed to make fun of him and not give him compliments. They have to yell at him and say, take a haircut. You look terrible. You'll see people literally with the hair going over the collar, like people that doesn't really, like Rosh Hashivas I've seen. You have to tell them. People are embarrassed to tell them, so they don't. They think the other guy said. You have to walk around. You look nasty, my friend. Ooh, thank you. Yeah, finally, somebody. Finally. For everybody else, you go into a simcha after 30 days. And for a father or mother after 12 months. If you want to look at Taisus real quickly, let's say, 7-8 lines from the bottom. And he says, if this we see a lot. Somebody wants to go to a wedding. He needs to get to his nephew's wedding. He's going to miss his nephew's wedding. His sister's making a chassan. He's not going to go. So what do? What's the trick? They become waiters. And that's a legit way to go to somebody's wedding. As long as you're not eating, says Taisvis. If you sit down with the band members and the waiters on their table, that's not an excuse. You're not allowed to eat with them. If you walk in there without eating, it's okay. Then simcha b'lo yachila v'shtiya. In order for you to rejoice with the simcha, be part of it, you sit down and eat. Without you eating, you're not part of the simcha.
Eating or sitting?
It says simcha b'lo yachila v'shtiya. And we have that in Yontif, you have basa v'yayin and simcha b'lo basa. It's eating and drinking. Fine. Next. Don't worry, Rabbi Isai, all the people that are worried that we're not going to catch up, Bezer Hashem tomorrow we're going to catch up. Says the Gemara, this that you're allowed to go after 30 days is only for Simchas Mereyos. Meaning, if your friend makes a barbecue, there's some sort of, like a little bit of a friendly, a chaver shaf kind of suda, you're allowed to go. But not a real suda. A real suda meaning like a wedding, you don't go to that. That's what we're saying. But it says them together. You see that there's no nafka between a simcha and a mereya. So wedding and a barbecue are all in the same line. Kasha, you're right. So here the difference is, because now he's saying after 7 days. Immediately after 7 days, a person is allowed to get up right after Shiva and go to his friend's barbecue. A lot of these things, by the way, there was a kid, and this is not a joke. A kid, he told his Rebbe, I wish my grandmother dies. His grandmother died, yeah. Why? Because last year when my grandfather died, my father didn't go to any chasanas, he didn't go to any shalom zachars, he was home the whole time, it was geschmack. And when I was in Avelos, I really felt that it should be a chiyuv gadol, for me at least, to go to every wedding and every dinner, because it was the greatest excuse. Sorry, I can't go. I can't donate now. I can't go. I can't come to the dinner. I can't go to the chasana. It was mamish gewaldig. You know what it means? Not to go to Shalom Zachar? I don't have to get out of bus. Unbelievable. But anyway, there's a thing about, unfortunately, if that makes the difference, that kids want their parents to be there that bad, then maybe people should make more time. I'm talking to myself. Okay, so it says, says the Gemara like this. There's a difference. A good mashal will be, in schools, depends where you live, like in Eretz Yisrael, all the kids get together and they put money in a pot, and every bar mitzvah, the boy gets like a set of mishaburus. In Los Angeles, it's a Tesla or something. But it turns out that the father of this boy just bought his son a mishabura. That's what happens. But what happens is that this kid, he gets his mishabura, and then he skips, he goes to the next school. That's what it's talking about over here. If they get together, everybody says, okay, the whole block, the whole building says, let's just, why should my wife make dinner every night and your wife, my wife make dinner for the whole building for a week, then your wife. So it depends. If it's the first night and he wants to come to the Suda, Shalom Yisrael, no, you're aval, don't come. But if he owes everybody the meal, it's already his turn to pay back, then he can't get out of it. He can't say, I'm an aval, I can't cook now. Too bad. You just ate for free for 6 months. Now you're going to use the avelos as an excuse? No. You have to pay. Let's just do a few more lines. All the dead, you have to rip one tefach. You have to reveal your heart. Where do you see this? David, when he found out that Shaul is his enemy, right? But nevertheless, it was a terrible tsar for him. that a king was killed by the Goyim. That Klai Yisrael, they're losing in the war, that was terrible for him. It didn't matter that he ripped Kriya right away. This is and because it says the word achiz means a tevach. Okay, we'll stop here, but tomorrow Be'ez Hashem will catch up a lot. Have a wonderful day.